Hello, I'm your host, Alexis Roble, and on this podcast, my goal is to provide you with information, tools, and resources that empower you to reach your highest potential. I'll interview fascinating and insightful guests and share pieces of my own journey as well. This is the Built for Strength podcast. All right, so for those that don't know you, share a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, anything else you might want the audience to know.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Shelby Neal. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. I've been living kind of Raleigh, Wake Forest area for a while now, since like elementary school. Um, I did, let's see, where do I even start? I did CrossFit, or I did gymnastics when I was younger, and then kind of transitioned into CrossFit when I was like 14 years old. And then started getting competitive in CrossFit and kind of starting to pursue that. So kind of like long-term goal was to qualify for the CrossFit Games. I was able to qualify as a teenager kind of a long time ago, and now aged up into the individual division. So competing there, and then kind of in the process of all that, I was also kind of doing school, graduated from NC State, and then now I'm working full time and kind of training as well.
Yeah, totally. So how did you initially get into CrossFit from that gymnastics transition?
So I met my coach, actually. She did CrossFit, and so she kind of told me about workouts where she did like hundreds of pull-ups, which is, I'm like looking back, I'm like, oh, she just probably did Murph.
Yeah.
And like she told me she did like 100 pull-ups, and she actually got rhabdo and like couldn't come to practice one day, and was telling us about rhabdo. And I'm like, I don't know if it was just like I didn't believe her, or if it like I can't imagine how it's possible. And so like when I stopped gymnastics, I just wanted to see what CrossFit was all about. And of course I got addicted to that. So
Yeah, totally. So 2023 was your first year back at the games since 2017, and your first year qualifying when you weren't in the age group division. So what have
yeah,
the past 6 years looked like working to get back to the games?
it's been a lot. I mean, I was always balancing either a couple jobs. Like I was always a busy bee. I never just couldn't work. So I had like a research job and like internships and like coaching as well, and like odd jobs here and there. And I think at one point I had like three jobs, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself and trying to, um, but yeah, I mean, it was mostly just like qualifying for the next stage, going from quarters to regionals or semifinals. They change the name of it all the time, but like basically like getting ready for that, and like slowly like picking away at weaknesses and identifying those and working on that with my coach, until we felt like we got really, really close in 2022 at the MAC. Like I was in a qualifying spot for a lot of the weekend and was fighting to get back into it. In that last workout, I just like fell out of it. So really, it was just like gaining the confidence and gaining the, obviously, like you need to work on skills clearly if you don't make it, but a lot of it can just be confidence and like being confident in your ability out on the floor and knowing that you can perform how you expect to perform. So
Yeah, definitely. So how was your experience at the games as a teenager different than an individual?
yeah, so Um, I went to the games in Carson, California,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I went in Madison. So I went like the last year was in Carson, and then the first year was in Madison. And I feel like, at least from my memory, it felt really similar from what I remembered from Madison. Besides like the venue kind of changing, because they started getting better at putting the teenagers in like more like what the individuals are competing in. Like I don't think we didn't go in the Coliseum when I was a teenager in Madison. Like we had our own barn. So it wasn't as nice, I think, but I don't really remember that part. Like for me, it was still a big competition. So it didn't bother me. Like the venue not being like maybe as cool as the Coliseum. But I think later years the teenagers were in the Coliseum and like the same venues as the adults. But like the ushering around, like athlete control, all of that is starting to get a lot more like standardized across any division, teenagers, master, like depending on the event you're at, like people are definitely doing a better job of making that experience, or just like it's just too much, too crazy not to make it more like how the elites are.
Yeah, totally. I feel like with the number of spectators probably increasing every year, it just makes it easier.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm actually surprised. Like, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like the NBA or like NFL. I don't know. Like, I feel like those people would get like attacked, but like CrossFit community is a little more nice or
Yeah.
something. And they just like they just want to give you hugs and like have you sign stuff and like high fives, and they won't like jump you. Or
Yeah,
that's
they're
not
not
like,
gonna mob you.
yeah, that's not a concern at all. Which I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what was your favorite event at the games
Oh,
this
my
past
favorite
year?
was it was definitely the log one with
Oh,
this
okay.
like sandbag, and muscle up, and then like sandbags over log workout. I think you had to get so yeah, it was like a couple rounds. I think there was 5 rounds, and like the logs incrementally got higher and higher, and I think you had to get all the bags over the log in one round, and then you go back and do muscle ups, and then you go back over the log, and then bring all those to the next log, get them over. So it was like each round got like longer, I guess.
Hmm.
I think that was working. Now I'm like can't remember, um, but the logs also got higher, and I remember they were telling us the workout, and they said, um, like the first log is whatever, like 4 feet or something. And then they told us the next log and they're like, that's 5 feet. And then the next log is 5.5 feet. And I'm like, okay, that's not that high. And then I was thinking about it. It's like, hang on, that's 150-pound bag I have to get like I'm 5'2". That's like higher
Yeah.
than my head. And I started to like wrap my head around how heavy and how high it was. Um, yeah. So it was fun because it was kind of funny
Yeah.
just coming. So
Totally. Yeah. So you went to the Rogue Invitational for the first time last year. What was that experience like? And do you think you'd do it again?
I would definitely do it again. It would have been nice to like know I was going earlier because I was
Yeah.
pretty much the last person to get an invite because I think people like dropped out because they were hurt or something. So like they backfilled me kind of like 2 or 3 weeks before or something, which I mean, I was like slowly kind of ramping up, but it's not the same as like, oh my God, there's a competition in 2 weeks. So we really ramped it up quick and it just wasn't enough time. So I kind of went in just like, just enjoy it, have fun. Like, how cool is it that you get to go here? Cause like nobody else can come. It's just an invite event
Hmm.
only. I wasn't going to do a qualifier. They asked me to do the qualifier. I was like, I'm not doing that. Sorry. I'm tired. I'm not gonna qualify, so it's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. Like, but it was just a good time. Like, just enjoy like interacting with fans and interacting with the community, and a little more practice under your belt. And like, even if it doesn't go well, it's still an experience. Like being on the floor with, Tia Claire Toomey and Laura Horvath. Like, it's not something that you can train very often. Like at home, you can't train with like the best. So even if you don't perform that well, it's still something to like, okay, I'm used to this environment. I'm used to, the big names kind of just being to my right and left. And like I'm a big name. I'm out here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Did you feel like there was less pressure at Rogue than the games?
I think yeah, there was less pressure. I put less pressure on myself because
Hmm.
it was gonna be what it is kind of thing. And like if I had done probably the best I could have done, I would have been maybe like 5 spots higher, or I could have placed where I placed, and then I would have got the same amount of prize purse. It didn't really matter. Like
Yeah.
I'm like I don't think I'm gonna one. I haven't prepared for this, and I'm also not gonna like drastically improve from where I was at the games. Like I'm not gonna go from 18th to fourth. It's not gonna happen. Like I
Hmm.
need time to build on what the lessons we learned from the game. So it was really just like just go have fun and enjoy it. And I was also a little bit hurt too, so it was just like just get the experience kind of.
Hmm. How much time did you take off after the games from training?
I want to say like a month, but at the same time, like I enjoy going to the gym. So I would go in and do class and stretch and just like, oh, what are you doing today? Like jump in with people. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a time of year where you don't have to stress about doing anything. So like I know people will like not go to the gym at all, but I do end up going to the gym just because my friends are there and stuff and I like hanging out with them, and I probably go crazy or like get depressed if I just stayed at home. So yeah, I probably took like 2 weeks completely out of the gym before starting to go back just for fun.
Hmm. Did you feel like you lost fitness between the games and Rogue, or did you feel like you kind of recovered a little bit better and your body was feeling better going into Rogue, or how was that feeling?
I think I felt better for the games, which is good. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. And then yeah, I mean, it was more just like I sprained my ankle after the games.
Hmm.
Like after like when I was getting into it, like, oh, my friends are going for a run, like I'll go for a run with them. And then I just twisted it on the trail one day. And so I was just recovering from that for Rogue, and it kind of sucked. Like having to fight through that, I guess, because you just have to warm it up a lot more, and like it's uncomfortable, and like I'm afraid I'm gonna roll it randomly and like you're sore and you're tired, and like injuries happen more often when you're just not in your not like feeling 100%. So yeah, I mean, I felt better for the games for sure. And Rogue, we just, even though I was well rested, it was more of like a mental fatigue going into
Hmm.
Rogue. It's like that big event you've been training for all year. I mean, literally from like February, March, that's like when you start thinking about the season pretty seriously till August. So it's like months of just, ramp up, deload, and it gets really exhausting. So
Hmm.
I was, and then once you finish the games, you're like, oh my God, I'm done for a couple months. I'm free. So then Rogue was kind of a smack almost. Like it was more like a mental challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So, have there been times that you have doubted your abilities as an athlete? And if so, how have you overcome those struggles and doubts?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I think I have it probably pretty bad. I mean, I don't know what everyone else's experiences are, but mine are pretty bad. Like, it takes a lot of convincing before I'm like, yeah, I'm whatever level now. Like, I'm safely in this level. Like, even qualifying for the games as an individual, I'm like, yeah, I'm a games athlete, but I'm not like a real one. I'm like one of those fake ones, and it's like not reality, to have like. So I'm trying my best to like get over that and like realize like all of your accomplishments that you have, trying to appreciate them and like realize what you've done and where you got here is like not a fluke. um I mean, I remember like when I first qualified for regionals, I had the exact same kind of headspace, like, oh my God, I qualified, and I just slid in or whatever, like I didn't earn it, or like I got lucky, and like I'm gonna have to really kill myself just to make it again next year. And it's like it's never the case. It's always like I've always improved, I've always gotten better, and like it's just a matter of just like realizing that. And if I realized that a little earlier, I'd probably be better off.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely something that I think we all struggle with as athletes.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, it's always like, am I really good enough?
Yeah, it's like I just got lucky that one day that I clean and jerked whatever, something super heavy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, you.
So have there been times that whoops, sorry. Let me try that again. So you currently work full time as an engineer even while training for the games. So how do you balance your work, your life, training, all of that?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think partly it helps me because I have like an outlet that's not related to CrossFit at all. Like a lot of people just all they have is CrossFit, and like, you know, a bad training day can really weigh on them. Especially when it's like your income is solely, from sponsors or from whatever you're doing at the gym or whatever. It can put a lot of pressure on you, which can affect how you perform and affect how you like go about your day to day. So I I think I'm lucky in that way that I have something else that works for me, where I can like kind of like separate my day and a lot of times like I'm at the work and I don't think about CrossFit like not even once, and then I'm at CrossFit and I don't think about work even once. So it's kind of nice. But that being said, it does like affect my day because my normal day to day is like I go to the gym kind of like early-ish in the morning. Like I'm at the gym at like 7-ish, 6:30-ish, and I get like an hour of something in, go to work, come back, and then I'm at the gym, depending on like whatever traffic or something. Sometimes I get to the gym like 4:30 to like 5:30 in there, and then I can be at the gym for like 3-ish hours. So it's a long day if you like think of it from like 6:30 to 8:30, you're just working on
Hmm.
something, working out, whatever. It leaves like not much time to do anything else. So it's really just being okay with that and planning ahead, like meal prepping and whatever. Having to go out to eat is fine. Just whatever you have to do to keep the ball rolling, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, how has your training changed over the years? Because training as a teenager, I'm sure is different as like training as an adult. So how has that
Yeah,
changed?
that's a good question. When I was younger, when I first did CrossFit, I was following CrossFit Invictus's program. I
Mm-hmm.
had like my program, and I had a lot more free time when I was younger, so I did double sessions with them, um, which I think, in retrospect, it was good that I put in all that time when I was younger, and I built like a really good, strong base. Like we focused a lot on Olympic lifting and a lot of strongman stuff. Not really good at strongman stuff still, but it was still like strength based programming, and I did a lot of that when I was younger. And when I got older, I just had that base, that like strong base that never really left me. I think then I had a long period after that when I moved gyms where I was following so there's a games athlete at my gym. Her name is Whitney Gallin, and she was my coach for a long time. And before she was my coach, we were just kind of training partners. And what I would do every day is just come to the gym and just train with her. And whatever the heck she was doing, I was doing. And I think that was a really great way to train as well. It's like you don't know what you're doing, but you're just there getting a push, and you have your mentor who's guiding you, sort of thing. And you're there helping them, like giving them somebody to do stuff with so they're not alone.
Hmm.
And that was a really cool experience because I mean, it was just I have no idea what I'm doing every day, and I'm just guide me to the light, take me to the games, like kind of thing. He was the reason I qualified for regionals the very first time, and I did that for a couple years, and then she kind of stopped training and then became my coach, and then we kind of did the same thing where she's guiding me, coaching me. Um, yeah, and then now recently I have a new coach, and we're trying some different like working in different sessions, kind of trying to break stuff up, doing a lot more zone 2. And before I wasn't doing any double sessions, but now I am. So it's really just a matter of like working it out with your coach and your schedule and figuring out like what's best for you and what works best for what you're trying to work on.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think people like you are really an inspiration to the community because you show that you can balance training at a high level and working and life and all of that. And it's really I guess it gives the average person a little bit of hope.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I feel like yeah, I get that question a lot. I'm like, I don't know if I do anything too different than like you. It's just a matter of like just realizing it's going to be chaos sometimes and just doing what you can with it almost. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't go smooth most days. Like I've definitely had days. I think I had a couple days I finished at the gym at like 9:45. I was rolling out and I'm like, "Oh my God, like I cannot believe I'm doing this." But like I just couldn't get myself to not do my last piece. I was like, I'm not gonna just not do it. I have to finish it.
Hmm. Yeah. So, with your busy schedule, is recovery ever a problem for you? How do you perform well with the compounding stress on your body and your mind?
Yeah, that's definitely like the biggest downside for working and like having a full schedule. It's hard to work 8 hours, sometimes more, and then train like whatever, like 4 hours, probably like a normal day, at the gym, and then the weekends are a little bit longer. Um, so yeah, you definitely have to plan ahead, meal prep, um, have stuff figured out, have your laundry done on the weekends, like all those things. If I don't do something like that on the weekend, the week comes and I'm like, oh crap, I'm drowning. Like, and then I have a couple nights of sleep that's like 5 or 6 hours, and it's just, it sucks, but at the same time, like you're preparing yourself, you're preparing your body um for competition as well, and like for you know situation and circumstances that might not be ideal. In that way, like maybe I'll be more prepared than other people for something like that. Like I remember 2018 games or something, they flew the games athletes to like Aromas and had them
Yeah, I
do
think that was 2017.
2017. I watched the documentary
I
and I
watched
was
it
like,
so many times.
I watched it too. And they had them like flying, and they were sleeping in the airport, and they had them get up at like 3 a.m. and like all these things. And like if you're used to 10 hours of sleep a night, that is gonna fuck with you pretty bad. So yeah, I mean it's just like it's not something I do often. It's like purposefully not try to get sleep. I never do that. It's more just like I can definitely deal with a schedule change. I'm definitely used to, non-ideal situations. But I do my very best to like get the sleep, get the recovery, get the food in always when I can.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you have any specific things that you do on the weekends to kind of help you prepare for the week and recover?
Laundry. Gotta do cook something, like anything would be good. I'm like a big spaghetti person, so like spaghetti or rice or sweet potatoes, like something like that, like huge that like you can always throw into the meal. And then like I make a lot of meat sauce or something for my spaghetti. So I do that. I mean also like it's my time to hang out with friends and relax and read a book or whatever. Do kind of catch up on like, I don't know, social media stuff, try to plan that stuff out. I like to do that during the weekend a little bit more so I don't stress during the week about being more active.
Hmm.
Instead of getting in trouble at work. Like, hey, be posting. um, what else? I mean, yeah, I live with my parents right now, so that definitely helps a lot. But I'll probably be moving out soon and having to relearn how to take care of myself completely.
Yeah. So what does your nutrition look like? You kind of were talking about that, but what does it look like when you're at work and then when you're in training? Do you take things in intra training? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I don't have any sort of like nutrition coach or any sort of nutrition programming or anything like that, or follow macros or anything. Really, I just try to eat as much food as possible because it's never enough, and eat as much protein as possible because it's never enough. That's generally the feedback I've gotten from nutritionists and all these people. My weight stays pretty on the dot. I just kind of check that every so often to make sure it's not dropping on me unexpectedly. But yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit with me. Just eat as much as I can because I'm never hungry enough, and I'm never. I always just try to stuff my face with anything.
Yeah.
Um, and like generally try to eat whole foods. Like, I mean, I'm not too picky because if I just, it's better for me to eat, something that's not good for you than it is like not eat anything, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like I'm supposed to eat sweet potatoes and white rice and chicken, and I'm like, I can only eat a bite of this. Then I'll go get some like ramen noodles or something and just eat it because I just need to eat, or otherwise I'll start to crash and burn. Like you have to eat calories to perform well and do well, and like when you're working full time, you need the energy. So
Hmm. Yeah, totally. So what are you most excited for this year?
man, I think I mean probably like switching coaches was pretty exciting. I'm working
Hmm.
with Dave and Brent Fikowski now, and so I'm going to visit both of them pretty soon. So that's pretty cool to like work with such a high caliber athlete, and like it's really just exciting working with a new coach. So um exciting like getting different feedback from them, and I think we've been making a lot of a lot of progress. So it's cool to see that. I told David I'm like I'm envisioning like that podium at semifinals and like setting myself up for just a really good, confident year at going into the games. But yeah, we got to qualify first. So
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of your goals for the 2024 season?
I mean, I want to qualify for the games again. Obviously, that's the goal, the end goal. And I talked about it with David and Brent, and like we really are, like we qualified for the games last year. That's great. You haven't qualified, 5, 6 years in a row. The games are not like something guaranteed, so we need to make sure we're preparing ourselves for another. Like we need to put a good showing on at semifinals, and we'll have to fight to qualify again. It's not just going to be like 1, 2, 3 easy type of thing. Like we just need to prepare for that and not like assume we're just going to qualify. And when we qualify, good, we go on to the games to continue. And I think that's good, like recognizing where you are at and like being realistic with your goals and with who you are as an athlete, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'm a shoe-in for quarters, I'm a shoe-in for semis. Like that's not realistic. It's just be smart, take everything seriously, put everything into it.
Mhm.
Um, I forgot the question, but
Yeah, goals for 2024. But yeah, obviously making it to the games.
yeah, make it to the games. And then like I'd love to improve on my place at semis. I think that's like a good momentum into the games, and then improve on place at the games. So
Yeah. And what you were saying before about like taking it seriously, making sure that you're not assuming anything, it kind of reminded me of the thing that happened to Annika Greer a couple years back with the
oh yeah,
quarterfinals. Like she didn't end up uploading her final
yeah,
video and then she wasn't able to get to semis. And like nothing against her, just it's a good
yeah,
reminder for all of us to make sure we're checking all of the boxes.
yeah, that's like what nightmares are made of right there. Like I remember hearing about that, and it was really sad. And then like, yeah, it was sad because I feel bad. Like when I qualified for the games, like she was there and she was really close to qualifying too. And it sucks when you're like the one of the border athletes. I mean, I've been there. I've been on both sides. So
hmm Yeah,
it was
definitely.
like everyone has their time, but yeah, it's definitely tough. So
hmm Yeah. All right. So before we close out, I like to end with some rapid fire just for a little fun. So do you prefer books or movies?
I wish I could say books, but I definitely watch more movies
What is your favorite place to travel?
that I've been to. Or
Yeah.
oh my God. I think Hawaii. I went to Hawaii, and that was just a perfect trip. It went so great.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's definitely a bucket list item.
Yeah. Oh, I was in Oahu, but I want to go to the other islands now. So
Yeah. What is your go-to post-training meal?
spaghetti and meatballs.
And what is your favorite season? Fall, winter, summer, or spring?
Oh, I don't know. I guess fall. Sure, fall.
Yeah, fall's
Yeah,
nice. All right.
yeah,
So, and then before we finish, I always ask my guests this one question, and that is who inspires you and why?
yeah. I would definitely say my Nana inspires me. She passed away a couple years ago, but um, yeah, she's always been an inspiration to me, and has definitely is on my mind every time I compete. So
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So before we finish, just share where people can find you, follow you, anything else.
yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Shelby___ Neal. Um, and that's pretty much it. I don't have any other.
Yeah.
I keep it simple. I don't know.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Built for Strength podcast. Please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone who you think might enjoy it as well. You can follow me on Instagram at AlexisJRobel. If you want to be on the podcast, I have an inquiry form in the description for you to fill out. And if you have any more questions or suggestions, you can email me, builtforstrengthpodcast@gmail.com. See you guys next week.